About 7 years ago, I decided to make a film on the plight of Kashmiri Hindus who were subjected to a pre-planned state-sponsored genocide. And they had to leave their native land of Kashmir, not one Hindu, not two, not 1,000, but almost 500,000. They have been living in Kashmir for generations. It was their land. But due to religious fanaticism, due to communal politics, they were forced to leave their land. Their houses were burned, thousands were killed, women were raped, and children became orphaned. Not only that, they had to live in shelters for many years. I became witness to it when I started researching and interviewing the first generation victims of Kashmir Hindu Genocide. What resulted was a film which changed the political discourse, which created awareness about Kashmir and the genocide, which was hidden by the vested interests for decades. It made me curious to understand that why after 78 years of independence, India is still fighting with communal violence. And with that intent, I started researching into the history of India. While Kashmir Files filled my heart with pain, this new research made me angry. Normally, everybody thinks that the Indian partition took place in Punjab, but the seeds of Indian partition were sowed in Bengal. Bengal is the only state which was divided twice, first in 1905, then in 1947. And Bengal as a cultural region was divided again in 1971, and once more it is on the verge of a division. But before I move forward, you have to understand what Bengal means to India. Bengal is the only state which has seen the socio-cultural renaissance in India, be it spirituality, religion, Vedanta, social reforms. It was in Bengal Sati Pratha was challenged and fully eradicated. Science, art, music, cinema, culture, literature, botany, astronomy, all these fields, there was a renaissance like India has never seen before. But above all, the real renaissance was about patriotism and nationalism. This is the only state which has given India two national songs, Vande Mataram and Jan Gan Man. And not only that, Azad Hind Fauj, which every Indian talks about, also came from Bengal. Bengal slowly became the cultural capital, one of the cultural capitals of the world, one of the financial capitals of the world. It was the biggest industrial hub. That is the reason why East India Company came to Bengal. And slowly, the Britishers colonized India through Bengal. Bengal was their prize state out of all the colonies. But at the same time, they could not defeat the spirit of Bengal, the intellectualism of Bengal, the patriotism of Bengal, and they wanted to crush it. And to crush it, Bengal was divided into Hindu Bengal and Muslim Bengal. Bengal still remains divided. When I started researching, the first thing I tried to understand, why is it that Bengal is the most volatile state of India? Why is it that the communal politics, the violent politics exists in Bengal and nobody is being able to stop it? And when we probe further, we realize that it all started in 1905, but it really found body. It really found its own identity in 1946, when Jinnah declared that now there will be either a divided India or destroyed India.
There are two major nations, the Hindus and Muslims. 100 millions of Muslims cannot be characterized as a minority. We want the division of India into Hindustan and Pakistan because that is the only practical solution.
And with that intention, he called for Direct Action Day. Direct Action Day was in order to attack Indians violently so that they give Calcutta to Pakistan. And once I started going deeper into Direct Action Day, I said, aha, this is one subject, this is one truth nobody knows, it must be brought out to people's awareness. And with that intention, we started making this film, The Bengal Files. We went to Bengal, our research team interviewed many victims of 1946 Direct Action Day. Though they are 90-year-old, 100-year-old, they're very old people, but their memories are sharp. And when their memories are not sharp, they have photographs. If they don't have photographs, they have letters. And as we started studying and analyzing all these letters and photographs and the interviews, it became very clear that India's partition was not achieved by signing some memorandum or some paper in Viceroy's house by Nehru and Jinnah. India's partition was created on the graves of thousands and millions of innocent people, mostly Hindus. Almost 40,000 people were killed. No wonder that Chakraborty, who was then the Chief Minister of West Bengal, was labelled as the Butcher of Bengal. But slowly Hindus got united, and once they got united, they retaliated. With that retaliation, Muslim League was defeated. Because Hindus got united in Calcutta and Direct Action Day project was failed, so to take revenge, Noakhali became the new playground. In fact, it became the war zone. In Noakhali, Muslims were 80%, Hindus were 20%. But Muslims were basically laborers and poor people, a lot of them were criminals, and Hindus were educated people, rich people, and they were zamindars. And therefore, it became the new laboratory for Jinnah's violent politics. It was decided that there will be 100% rule of Muslims, and then started the genocide, which I don't think India has ever seen, or the world has rarely seen that kind of genocide. If you study the history of war, you will find the first victims are women. By raping, abducting women, the entire society is threatened and demoralized. This is the fastest and the easiest way to defeat the enemy. Journalist cum social worker Muriel Lester has written about Noakhali while she was there. She has written that she has never ever seen or read the kind of crime which took place against women in Noakhali. Though there are thousands and thousands of stories which are heart-wrenching, which will break your heart, but one story I want to share with you. Why? Because it's one of the most authentic stories. And it is written by none other than the secretary of Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi was giving a sermon in a women's camp. And one tribal woman came holding a bone in her hand. And she told Mahatma Gandhi that her entire family was killed by the violent Muslim League mob and by the Miyar force run by Ghulam Sarawar Hussaini, a local Gunda politician of Noakhali. And her family was buried. Women were raped. And in the name of family, all she is left with is the bone, one bone of her husband, and she threw this bone in front of Gandhi. This is one story which I can never ever forget, and this became the crux of my film, The Bengal Files. Direct Action Day was to be implemented all over India. Why is it that Direct Action Day found the shape and body in Calcutta? And why it was so successful in Calcutta? Because the Chief Minister of Bengal, Suhrawardy, he had direct links with the underworld of Calcutta. And he employed this underworld to kill Hindus. And since then, the political violence, the communal violence in Bengal has never stopped. After India got independence, this underworld, these hardcore criminals who had tasted politics under the leadership of Suhrawardy, wanted their share in free India's politics. And en masse they joined Congress. When Congress left the power and communists came, then they en masse shifted to communists. And once communists lost power, then en masse they joined TMC. These people in Bengal are called Tolibas. In Bengal, there was a systematic demography change. The areas which were native Hindu lands slowly started becoming Muslim areas, and then began this terrifying, inhumane game of annihilating Hindus from the land of Bengal. 78 years later, India has lost more lives. India has lost more public property because of communal violence. Why are we so helpless? We are taught in our books, history books, about such great leaders, including Quaid-e-Azam, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, including Mahatma Gandhi, the Rashtrapita, the father of the nation. Nobody could stop it. Such a big empire like British Empire, they couldn't stop it. Do you know why? Because they were the ones who were instigating communal violence for their vested interest. All of them were trying to consolidate their own vote banks. And that politics never stopped. India became independent. Pakistan became independent, but the politics remains the same. Indian politics today in Bengal is based on consolidation of vote banks. Whose vote banks? Illegal immigrants. There is a state-sponsored project where illegal immigrants are given fake IDs, fake voter cards, fake Aadhaar cards and converted into vote banks. Same thing happened in Kashmir. Inch by inch, demography change took place. In Bengal, inch by inch, demography change is taking place. The population of Hindus was on decline in Kashmir for so many decades. Same pattern is emerging in Bengal. The recent Murshidabad riots are an example of that, where there was mass exodus of Hindus. Hindu shops and houses were guttered, looted. Recently we saw in Sandesh Khali how women were raped, tortured and they were abducted. My question is Bengal becoming a new Kashmir? That's why the Bengal Files becomes one of the most important films. You have seen the Kashmir Files. If the Kashmir Files has hurt you, I promise you, the Bengal Files is going to haunt you.
ये सत्य और अहिंसा का देश, ये गांधी और नेहरू का देश है।
शास्त्री जी का क्यों नहीं?
क्या कश्मीरी पंडितों को वापस अपने घर कश्मीर जाने का मौका मिलेगा? Is this justice?
विश्व एक खेल है, लोग मरते हैं, देश जलता है, खेल चलते रहता है।